Starting goalie?
Ottinger.
The lineup changes.
Donoff out and Blackwell in.
Injury, coaches.
No, coach's decisions.
I didn't see Cody Cece at morning skate.
Yeah, just a family thing, but he's fine. Yeah.
What is this homestand? Why is it important? I know it's
Yeah.
one game here, but you also have 4 at home after you've kind of been in a weird place on the road.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you're in the home stretch here. We want to be playing well individually, collectively. We want to be winning games. We want to be feeling good about ourselves. We want our special teams in good place. It's an important time of the year, home or road, down the stretch here heading into the playoffs.
There's obviously been a lot of talk about Mikko's fit, but now you've got a little more space with the Granlund and Cece. How have you seen them kind of transitioning?
Yeah. I think those two guys have been seamless. Actually, all three of them. I think, when I think about what Mikko's gone through the last 10 days, not just the trade, but signing a contract, coming into a new team in Dallas here, and then, having to return to Colorado and deal with the emotion of all that right off the bat too. It's a lot on his plate, so I think he's handled it exceptionally well. The other two guys, seamless transition, both smart veteran players, fit in real quickly and easily.
How would you say the challenge is the next month? You've been a good team and you're a real good team on paper now.
Yeah.
You have to develop a certain chemistry between
Yeah.
guys going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's always the magic you're looking for. That's always the thing that we're going to get Colorado, Winnipeg, somebody really good in the first round. There's no, that's a given. And on paper, we're going to have similar lineups to whoever we're playing. So that chemistry and that team identity, all those things you're trying to establish down the stretch are going to be the things that hopefully separate you from whoever you're playing at that time of the year, because there's not going to be a lot of skill separation on paper.
You reiterated that you weren't handing out the Stanley Cup this weekend. What did you learn about this group?
Yeah.
Those two teams?
I didn't like our Winnipeg game, to be honest with you. Probably across the board, which was disappointing. One team I thought looked like they were hungry to make a statement and win the division, and the other team, which was us, was kind of on our heels and early and never really recovered at all positions. So that was a little disappointing. I liked our Colorado game better than the score indicated and the scoreboard. As far as the shot clock went, we took 5 penalties to 1. You do that in Colorado, you're usually losing 5 or 6-2. So I think if you took that piece of it away, if we eliminated the penalties, I liked, I thought it was a big step from our Winnipeg game.
Last year, Chris Tanev comes in, fits on the defensive core pretty seamlessly. When you have a player like Mikko coming over, what are the nuances for a high-scoring forward to fit in and be able to contribute immediately?
Yeah, it's always a million-dollar question, and you never know. You don't have to go any further back than Joe Pavelski. It took him almost a year to get used to playing here. I think it was the playoff bubble before he really looked comfortable. So, and then other guys jump in here, and it's seamless, and it feels like they played here forever. So I don't know the answer to that. I can tell by the short few games that he's played and the limited time I've had with him that, I don't think it's going to be an issue. He looks like he's fitting in quickly. He's developing some chemistry. So, let's cross our fingers. And the point totals and what he's done so far show that, I think he's got another level that he can get to. But like I talked about, right off the bat, I think there's been a lot on his plate the first 2 weeks here, and I think he's handled it exceptionally well.
Getting Lee and Bishop back for the game on Sunday, it seemed like that changed the dynamic on the blue line for y'all. How much of a difference maker has he really turned out to?
He's a difference maker. He it's hard to hang that on a young defenseman and a young kid, but he makes a difference when he's in the lineup for us. his physical presence, he eats minutes, he covers a lot of ice. He's a smart player, he closes quickly, he punishes people. You know, there's a lot of really good elements to his game that we miss when he's not in the lineup.
The Ducks have seen a nice jump from Leo Carlsson since the Four Nations.
Mm-hmm.
A similar bump from Thomas Harley and his.
Yeah, really similar. You know, I likened it to, I'm so glad Thomas, I mean, Leo was going to play in that no matter what and was on that team. Thomas was a late addition, but, you know, I think it really changed his trajectory, Thomas, in that he got that experience. He played against that level of player, and he came back at a different level than, you know, when he left. And I think it was just because of that experience and the confidence of knowing now he can play against those guys and with those guys. And, you know, it's a little bit like a hitter probably going from Major League Baseball to AAA. You know, the ball looks a little bigger, the game slows down a little bit. I think that's the same when you get an opportunity to play in those things.
Do you have an update for Tyler? Is he skating? Is he
skating regularly? Yeah, looking good and you know, kind of on all projections to be back by the end of the year.
I know there's contract stuff involved. Could he actually play in the regular season, or is that not a possibility?
I don't. Yeah, I think it's just going to depend. From what I understand, I don't think it's any contract things. I think it's just whether he's healthy enough to play. And you know, we're working through that, and he's working his tail off to try and get back.
And has Miro made any progress as far as where? I know he's not skating or anything, I don't think, right?
Yeah, progress in the gym every day. Obviously not on the ice yet, but yeah, progress.
You have to look at it like you might have to win a playoff series without Miro.
Yeah, that's a realistic possibility. Yeah.
Pete, does your strategy change at all when you face big physical defensemen like Gudas and?
Yeah. Keep your head up. I mean, you know, the strategy is you have to know when those guys are on the ice that you know, you come through the middle, you got to have some awareness. And it's actually, our veteran guys do a really good job with the young players in our league, or in our team, of letting them know that. Because, you know, some of the young guys, you know, wouldn't have that awareness and would wake up, you know, and have lost 2 or 3 minutes of their life unconscious. So you have to be aware of them.
Pete, what's the thought on Dodonov sitting?
You know what, we've got a group of guys. Blackwell's been sitting, you know, Dodonov sat out, Bach sat out, Steele sat out. You know, when we've got that depth, we've got to keep everybody engaged. And, you know, when you're in the lineup, you got to separate yourself so that, you know, you're not in those conversations, because, you know, good players are going to have to sit out every night here. Thanks.